Cows and calves graze along the banks of the Missouri River in south-central Montana. This is part of the Hahn Ranch, an operation with 550 cows that ranges across nearly 28,000 acres of private and public lands. This valley is where the Hahn family has been raising cattle for more than a century.
I'm the third generation on the ranch. My sons are the fourth, and the fifth generation is coming up with nieces and nephews.
Our original ranch stead is underneath of Canyon Ferry Reservoir, which is just north of where we are now. And because of building that reservoir, my family had to relocate in the late 40s, early 50s to the location we are south of Townsend, but still on the Missouri River.
Today, multiple family members work together on the Hahn Ranch. With fewer than 12 inches of rain each year, water is a precious resource. The Hahns have installed more efficient irrigation systems on their crop and pasture lands, and they've added new stock water tanks, allowing them to fence their cattle out of riparian zones.
So we're looking at ways to maintain water quality in those watersheds for just a healthy ecosystem, and also to do things like improve the stream bank health and kept cattle out of the riparian areas that are pretty sensitive and critical.
One major project was the restoration of Deep Creek, a Missouri River tributary that crosses the Hahn Ranch. The family worked with private and public partners to install the Montana Ditch Siphon, rerouting irrigation water under instead of through the creek. That reduced sediment issues, improved water flow, and allowed fish to return.
Deep Creek has been a real spot where have put a lot of work into it on our property in conjunction with the NRCS, the Fish, Wildlife and Parks, the NRC. Deep Creek has gone from the status of being a non-functioning stream to one that is now fully functioning again. It has achieved that status that it was removed from the impaired, I guess, category you would have to call it. Immediately after that project was done, we started having fish move up from the Missouri River into Deep Creek here to start spawning. They're so kind of unique and different from a lot of the landowners that we work with. This project, for example, resulted in them having to change their water right. They had to move, and that is a risk that a lot of people don't want to take. And they're really willing to find solutions that work for both of you, even when there's some risk.
At Hahn Ranch, conservation practices reach far beyond the creek beds. Their cattle range on private, state, and federal lands, which means grazing plans are designed not only to sustain the livestock, but also to balance the needs of wildlife. Early
70s, we started cross-fencing what at one time was about almost 6,000 acres in one pasture. We started cross-fencing, and I can't even tell you the miles of fence that have been put in, but there's now 7 different pastures in that system. And so we try to go into a different pasture at a different season each year and try to rest a pasture, at least one pasture every year.
I would say that there's more grass on their range units due to the rotational grazing systems that they're implementing. Getting stock water out away from the creeks, away from the springs, so that those areas can be left for the wildlife with less livestock impacts. It has been critical for the wildlife side of it. And then they're leaving more grass every year with their rotation as the rotation changes from year to year.
The Hahn family also manages their farmland in ways that benefit the land and the livestock. Growing wheat, barley, and hay crops helps extend the grazing season while allowing for longer rest periods on the range. In addition, reduced tillage and cover crop rotations have had a positive impact on soil health.
We've converted to quite a bit of no-till farming where we will just we'll graze the crop stubble in the fall or winter with cattle. We feel that the less we can disturb it, the more organic matter and moisture we can preserve and just get ourselves that further along in the game as far as that year and also for the overall soil health.
The Hahns own or manage land on both sides of a major state highway, so their cattle and their conservation practices are always in the public eye.
We try to be an operation that when people go by, they see that there's improvement. It's not something that's let slide, that they can look at it and go, yeah, I've heard of the Hahn Ranch, I've heard some good things, and that's the way we'd like to keep it.
92-year-old matriarch Dorothy Hahn knows that past generations would appreciate the hard work that's gone into preserving and protecting the land on Hahn Ranch.
Well, they would think it's really going along good, and they're proud of it. They would be proud of their family. They wanted it to continue as a ranch, and when they're taking care of the land and all, that's what they want them to do. Well, I think it's wonderful.
It's just something, yeah, I want to do things better and leave the land in better condition than I found it, and leave it better for the next generation who will hopefully take as good or better care of it than we have.
To have those roots that go so deep is just a great feeling, and to be able to know that we've contributed to what's here and made it better is even better.